everyone, Sabrina here from Scrappy Tales Crafts. Welcome back to my channel. Today I am back with another trifold tutorial, but I thought I would start this video off by announcing the winner of our trifold Christmas showcase video, and that is Flo-Llama. I already messaged you in the comment section, but if you see this video, just go ahead and email me at info@scrappytalescrafts.com to claim your $50 gift card. And congratulations. Thank you to everyone who left a comment on that video. It received record numbers of views and we are so grateful and appreciative. We spent a lot of time on those showcase videos, so it was so amazing to see all of the engagement that we received. So I am going to be creating a Christmas House Trifold today. So I'm going to be using almost every die in the bundle, including obviously the Christmas House Trifold. I'll be pulling in the main Trifold Pop-Up die set, the Sleeping Dog and Cat set, the chair and Christmas tree, as well as the staircase. And then later on, I'll pull in the brick background as well. So the only die I did not use was the window, and that's because I used it on my last video. So I did go ahead and cut two of the smaller house bases from a kind of a coral color. I want to add some ink to the background so that some of the bricks look darker and some look lighter. So I chose Fired Brick and Candied Apple for this. I'm just using a blender brush to apply the ink very randomly. You can see I'm not trying to do perfect blending. I just want splotches of color so that the bricks have the variation in color. I thought that would be kind of pretty and add a little bit of interest to the background without having to do too much. I'm even going to pull in a little bit of vintage photo, so some brown ink. You can even, with this embossed background, it does double embossing, so you can use watercolors or Copic markers to individually color the bricks different colors, and I might do that in a different video. I also want to mention that we have brought out a couple different house dies throughout the years. I'm obsessed with Christmas houses, but also the storefront dies could work with this die set. So I plan to do a gingerbread house, kind of mixing and matching the gingerbread add-on for the storefront along with the dies from the new release. And I think a toy shop would be cute. The German Christmas house we brought out a couple years ago would be really cute as well. So thought I would mention that, but I'll be only using new products today. So here's that brick background. You can see there is a cutting edge all around. So my glue tabs did get cut, and that's totally fine. Basically my 1/2 inch glue tabs went down to 1/4 inch tabs. It will still wrap around the back perfectly fine. So I'm going to do that to both of my red ink blended base pieces. You can see I cut the same die also from a random pattern paper. To me, I was trying to go for the look of wallpaper. That will go on the inside of my trifold, but these brick pieces will be shown on the outside. All right, so that's how they turned out. They definitely look splotchy, but by the time you add all the die cuts, it does add a little something to the background. So I, of course, did all of my die cutting off camera. I cut my fireplace from cream. I'm going to end up changing this. A couple things I change as I go, but I did cut off that long part of the fireplace. I do want a short fireplace because above it, I'm going to add a really large sentiment. So I didn't need, the long part. So we're going to start by decorating the front of this card, and I'm going to be using, I think, only dies from the Christmas Trifold House die set. And with that die, you really don't need any other die set because it gives you everything you need to decorate a house with. So I cut the roof from Craft, the snow at the top from White Glitter. You can also probably use the roof add-on from a couple years ago that has Christmas lights. If you trim down the lights, you should be able to use that if you have it. The die includes the door, all of the windows, as well as that wreath that goes around that banister die piece. That wreath also, or garland, sorry, can also go on the window die that is included in the bundle. So here I'm just kind of laying out how this is going to look. I like to do that before I commit to gluing. I was going back and forth on whether I wanted to add the garland to the top of the roof or not. I do end up adding it, and that garland is from the staircase. All right, so I did have the shadow dies cut from the same light gray as the banister. I end up instead going with yellow windows because it felt more warm. It felt like there was someone living inside the house. So I'm going to change that. I also add yellow behind the lantern at the top. But the layout I am happy with. So I'm going to just go ahead and start gluing stuff. Here is that scrap of yellow. I did make my life harder. I could have cut the shadow layers from yellow, but I had already put all the dies on the magnets. So I just decided to glue them onto some scrap yellow paper and cut around the windows. All right, and I'm also going to add yellow behind the lantern. And if you haven't seen the showcase video yet, I have several other house-inspired cards. I love that you can, with this die, customize the house to look like your recipients. I think it's also great for someone or a couple who may have just bought a house and they're celebrating their first Christmas in it. All right, so I'm going to glue down my banister. I did not do any double cutting for this card. I did double cut the sentiment that's inside the card just because I literally cannot send a card out unless the sentiment is doubled up at least twice. So, but everything else, I kept one layer because these cards do get pretty dimensional. I did fill out the doorknob with a black fine liner. Added the details to the door with that light gray. Added that little wreath to the top of the door. I like just the small touches of Christmas. All right, and now I have my garland, and you can see I cut it from kind of a turquoise and then a very foresty dark green. I'm gonna offset these so that my garland is more full, and that's what I chose for all of the green elements on this card. I did so many yellow green examples in my showcase that I just wanted to try this like blue green color, and I think it complements the red nicely. I cut the trees also in the Christmas House Trifold set from that turquoise color, and then the pots from Craft, gonna add those to the left and right side of the door. And there's also a beautiful bow that you can add to the top of the card if you don't want the lantern. There's a couple of variations you can do with just the main die set. I'm pulling in a Stardust glitter pen to accent the ornaments on the tiny little trees. There is embossing or debossing on the die, so I just followed that, and it added a lot of pretty sparkle to those trees. I am now going in and adding ornaments to my garland and my wreath. These ornaments are included in both the tree and chair set as well as the sleeping dog and cat set. So I cut all of my ornaments for the inside and outside of the card from gold mirror cardstock. And if you've been following me for a while, you know I really cannot create a Christmas card that doesn't have at least some specialty cardstock. And in this case, I went with the gold mirror. All right, so here's where I'm deciding, do I want to add that garland to the top of the roof line? And I decided that ultimately it was cute. And it also tied in some more green at the top of the card. So again, this garland is the garland that's meant to go on the staircase, but it's perfect also for the roof line. And you can add this to the front and back, which on one of my card designs I did do that, but I think for this one I just added the garland to the front of the card. And again, if you have any of our older sets, there are so many accessories. There's other windows, wreaths, like I said, Christmas lights, bows. There's a lot of possibilities just with this one set, but also if you have any of our older sets, I think you can just go to town with this specific set or bundle. All right, so you can see on the side there, I tested out my Copic marker trick with the bricks, and I really like how that looked, but I just didn't feel like it was necessary for this card because most of it was covered up anyway. But maybe for a flat card design, I might do that brick technique. But you can see I just went ahead and reinforced the score lines on the sides of these two pieces. And we're gonna need a left and a right side. So I do want my card to open from the left. So on the panel we just decorated with the door, I'm gonna end up cutting the tab on the right side. I don't need it. And then on my right house frame or house base, I'm going to cut the left tab off. So you can see I want one on the right that wraps around the back of the trifold and then one on the left. So this is going to be my right wing. I'm going to trim off the left glue tab. I did this to save space on the die. I figured it's very easy to kind of follow the score line to get your left and right wing. All right, so then you can open it back up, flip it to the back side, and add your double-sided tape. So here I'm going with 1/4 inch double-sided tape. And remember how that brick die did cut off part of this glue tab. So just to make it straight, I'm going to trim off the rest, you'll see. First, I'll remove the tape or the backing, and then I'll trim it. So now it's a perfect 1/4 inch tab. If you don't do the brick embossing, it's gonna be a 1/2 inch tab, so you can use 1/2 inch tape instead. But you can see the 1/4 inch just wraps around that middle piece just fine. If you want the back side of your trifolds to be completely clean, you know, if that's where you would want to add your custom message, then I would cut another back piece after you glue these glue tabs onto the back side, and that way it's going to be completely covered up. But in this case, I did have an area to write a message on the inside, so I didn't bother with that. Now, for my front door, that's going to be my left wing. So I cut off the right glue tab. I'm flipping it around, adding double-sided tape to my glue tab, and again, wrapping it to the back of the middle piece. Again, if you don't want to see those glue tabs on the back, just glue another piece on the back. But that creates your trifold. So you can see it left, right, middle. All right, now on the inside, I wanted this to look like a house. So I decided to add wallpaper. I did use a 12x12 piece of pattern paper, but I messed up the cutting. So my centerpiece has the pattern going horizontal, and then my left and right wing has the pattern going vertically. I didn't think it would matter because most of the wallpaper gets covered up. All right, so again, before I'm committing to gluing anything down, I am kind of roughly laying out how this is going to look. I noticed with a lot of the cards I made for the showcase, I ended up having to die cut more than I thought I needed, or I ended up changing some of the colors than I originally had in my head. And this was no exception. So instead of a cream fireplace, I opted to go for a red brick fireplace to kind of pull in the red brick from the outside of the card. I added more ornaments. I needed another window. So this is a good time just to lay out your elements and see, do I have enough? Do I want to change the colors? It's not as simple as a single card front design because you're working in 3 sections. Either way, it's really fun to just kind of lay it all out and see how it's going to end up looking. I was a little bit worried that the pattern paper was going to be too busy, but by the time I added the windows and the like the floorboards, a lot of that pattern got covered up, and I ended up really liking the contrast of the blue and the red together. All right, so now I'm gonna go ahead and start gluing. I think after I was done laying it out, I did recut some stuff off camera. But now we can assemble. So I'm gonna glue all of my pattern paper pieces to the inside, just covering up the backside of that brick panel. Now, I did not cut this backwards. So you can see on the top, some of that red is still showing. I know I'm gonna glue, you know, the white glitter snow piece and the roof to the top, so it didn't really matter. But you'll see later I have to trim some of the excess paper because I didn't die cut it backwards, but it's no big deal. So there I am adding the roof pieces, and I wanted to, again, kind of cover up some of that wallpaper. So I thought it would be cute to add kind of like a floorboard. So I did that with some craft cardstock. I just made a little strip. I'm gonna glue that to the bottom. This is, I believe, 1 inch. And above that, I'm gonna add a thin strip of gold. And I think that gives it that homey look that I was going for. I'm gonna do this also to the center panel, but I didn't bother to do it with the left wing because that's where my staircase went, and you just would not have seen this at all because the staircase covers it completely. But you can see on the back there's a little bit of that white that I'll end up trimming later. So now I'm gonna add the tree. And this tree set has 2 layers, and it's very simple to paper piece. This tree also has like the popcorn garland if you want to add that, and then the ornaments. So I opted to go for gold ornaments. Again, I went with the blue greens. I do think this would be really pretty with normal green, but my wallpaper is more of a turquoise, so it matches very well. Okay, there is a die that creates the rug or the skirt under the tree. And here you're really gonna start to see all of the detail that are in these dies. In total, it took about 2.5 hours to assemble and about 2 hours to die cut. Obviously, I am maximizing the detail. You do not have to decorate every single panel. You can just decorate, you know, the pull down part. But I'm personally displaying these as home decor, so I think it's well worth the time. So here's my little chair. You might have saw early on, I originally had a craft chair, so I changed it to cream. And I'm creating a red pillow for it. Maverick decided to join me. And then I am adding the trunk of the tree. There's also some details on the chair that I'm gonna add. There's even more details. I only went with like the arms. I wanted those to look like they were wooden, but you can also change the color of the little tiny legs as well as the cushion if you wanted to. And the sleeping dog and cat set has an adorable cuckoo clock that you can add above the chair, but I decided to go with a window because, again, I wanted to cover up some of that pattern paper. So, oh, and it also allowed me to tie in some more yellow. So again, I glued it onto some yellow scrap of paper, and now I am trimming around. And this window is included in the staircase set, and it includes a curtain rod and curtains. So I cut the curtains from that coral base color and a darker red. I cut the curtain rod from gold, so I'm just going to add that above. And you can use this window on the front of your house, and you can even possibly cut through the base so you can see inside. I did do that in my last video if you want to see what that would look like. All right, so now I'm going to add the second layer to the curtains, and it creates a pretty plaid design. It matches actually the pillow on the chair. I love the pops of red on this design. All right, so my right wing is finished. So now I'm gonna work on the left side. Gonna add that same pattern paper. I will add my roof pieces. And this side is going to feature the staircase, which I cut from cream cardstock. And here I'm deciding, do I want to add the garland on the inside? And I decide not to. I feel like it's a little bit too much. But here is my staircase. You can see that it just spans across the entire wing. I did not need to add the floorboard. I cut all of the accent pieces to the staircase from Craft. So I'm going to speed up the video and paper piece this. It doesn't take that long, and I think out of all the dies in this particular bundle, I think the staircase is my favorite. It is just so cute. I think it would be fun to be part of the pull down section of the card. You can have the staircase on the back row, the fireplace on the second row, and then the sleeping dog and cat on the first row. So I just love all the combinations you can create with this bundle. Like I said, I made, I think, 4 other Christmas House Trifolds in my showcase video, all of them using the same products I'm using on this card, but just by changing up the composition and the colors, you can get completely different looking cards. So there's even a detail for the steps of the staircase. And you can obviously winterize and Christmasify this house, but this staircase can be used on regular home, like new home card designs with the main trifold die. But I am obviously going to decorate it for Christmas, so I will add the garland and the bows that are included in the set. I'm going to add another window with the same curtains. I feel like the symmetry on the left and right side looks very pleasing. Again, you can go for the cuckoo clock instead. You can go for the wreath if you don't want to do that much die cutting. The sleeping dog and cat set also has a couch, so you can put the couch on the left side with the staircase. So there's that garland. Now I'm going to add the tiny little bows, and then there's a larger bow on the banister part. Maverick is back again to join me. Okay, so here's how it's looking. I now will kind of pause and work on this flap. I have another snow roof line piece, another roof that I'll add, and then I also add a strip of craft at the bottom. And that is all I do for now. I do come back to this because I was kind of unsure. I knew I wanted this to be the area to write a custom message, so I end up adding an oval with a simple wreath at the top, but I'm also going to add that strip of gold. So this is the piece you really don't need to add too much because you do want to have an area to write a message. So I'm opening it back up to the trifold, and now I can start working on the center. So I have the base piece that I cut from heavyweight cream cardstock. I'm going to add strong double-sided adhesive to that rectangle glue tab that is above the slitted part. And then I'm going to wrap this piece around the back of the card as well. So all of the glue tabs are on the back. Again, if you don't want to see the glue tabs, just add another center base piece on the back. I feel like I said that a lot, but I keep forgetting that I add more and more glue tabs to this. But you can see that that just folds up, and when you pull it down, you can create a three-dimensional scene. So I do want this to be a little bit more heavy, more sturdy, because this is going to be constantly moving up and down. So I cut another of that base piece from heavyweight cream cardstock. I cut off the glue tab. I'm going to add glue to this and glue it right on top of the one we just added. And now I'm going to add the floorboard strip with that gold strip on top. So now is the time to start decorating from the back to the front. But in this case, I wanted to have a sentiment floating above my fireplace. So I'm actually going to glue my fireplace, which will go on the second row first, just to see how high up my sentiment needs to go. And then I will work on the third row and come back to the front. All right, so I added the snow piece to the top of the center trifold. I'm constantly folding it back up to see how it looks. Now I can add my bridges. So the die set, the main die, includes the two longer ones and one shorter one. Cut it from heavyweight cream cardstock again, and you can decide if you want to add your glue to the angled rectangle part or the actual rectangle part. For some reason, I keep picking the all rectangle. I think it's because I just want less area to glue my elements on, but it's totally up to you. It's a lot easier to actually glue the angled rectangle inside the slits versus what I'm doing, but either way it works. But I am adding 1/2 inch heavy duty tape here, as well as glue, so that I can kind of move this around, wiggle it to where I need it to be. Just insert it into the slit. I meet the score line to the bottom of the slit and then push it down so that the glue attaches to the back side of the pull down. So then I have one more with this short bridge. I do suggest heavyweight paper for this because this is what holds all of your scene pieces, all of your die cuts. All right, so I'm going to adjust this one into the slit, butting up that score line to the very bottom of the slit, and then I'm going to push upwards to adhere it entirely to the back. And that is it. These are very simple to put together. So the only thing I doubled up was my sentiment. So I cut the words, once from heavyweight cream cardstock and once from gold mirror. I stacked them together, and then I have the shadow layer that I cut from the same heavyweight cream. And this says sending cozy Christmas wishes. This is included with the sleeping cat and dog set. A lot of the dies that I created in this new collection have word dies because I did not create a stamp for this release. I wanted to make sure you had some options. And these sentiments are also great to add to that area where you would write a custom message when you first open the card. And it will fill that section nicely because they are pretty large sentiments. So now I'm going to work on my fireplace. Like I said, guys, this is a lot of paper piecing. This card took quite a while to put together, but I just love all the details. So I cut the top, the banister, I guess, from Craft. I cut the stone part from Craft. And now I'm just assembling the fire part. So even the fire has 4 layers to it. You can use your markers if you don't want to cut every individual piece. You can color things in easily. I'm also going to add the garland to the top. This is also from the Sleeping Cat and Dog set. The Christmas House Trifold includes the fireplace, all of the layering pieces, as well as these adorable little stockings. So I cut the 3 stockings. Oh, I'm also adding a little bit more fullness to the garland with that turquoise color. But the stockings also have detail layers you can add on top. So I cut all the details from white glitter. I added my 3 stockings, and I think that is just so cute. So I'm using the tip of my glue needle to pick up all these small pieces. The stockings are my favorite part of this fireplace. And again, the original fireplace has a very long brick piece that goes above the garland. So you can get some different looks with the fireplace. All right, so in the Sleeping Cat and Dog set, there's also candles that you can add. So I cut the, is it called a taper candle? The tall ones from Gold Mirror. Then the actual candle part I cut from Cream. So I'm just kind of arranging a random array of candles. And I didn't bother to cut the fire flames. I'm just going to use a Copic marker to color the flames in. All right, and I do want to mention that I did wrap up my Advent Calendar Ornament series. So if you want to catch any of the live replays, just head over to the live part of my YouTube channel. I created well over 20 projects with the calendar, and I had a really fun time. I do want to continue going live, so if you have any suggestions on what you'd like to see in real time, let me know. The trifolds are a little bit difficult because, like I said, this card took like 2.5 hours just to assemble, but I think I can come up with more simplistic designs. I can also do some pre-gluing and assembling off camera before I go live, so just let me know what you want to see. And okay, so I have all of my elements ready to go. I decided the fireplace will go in the second row, and I did want to raise it up a little bit, so I cut the banister again, and I'm going to glue it to the bottom. So it kind of looks like steps. So this is the same layering piece as the top of the fireplace. If I were to do this again, I would raise it up even higher somehow. Probably just add another piece of craft at the bottom, because the fire does it gets covered by the cat and dog but it's totally fine. You can see on the side, you can see the fire. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead, glue that onto the second row. And then I want to float my sentiment. So to do that, I have my acrylic sticks. You guys, if you've seen my channel, you know what an acrylic stick is. You can use acrylic packaging. You definitely want something heavy. This is like almost plastic thickness. But I am going to add a strip of double-sided tape to the top of this stick, and then also some glue, and attach my sentiment at the top. Then I will add some more glue and double-sided tape to the bottom of the stick, and that's going to attach it to the bottom bridge. Now, I create my acrylic sticks out of clear scraps 12 by 12 acrylic. But like I said, packaging works just fine for this. And I love that it's clear, so you don't even see it. So it truly looks like the sentiment is floating. And because it is thicker, almost like plastic, it doesn't fall forward or backward. It's nice and stiff. Either way, I'm still going to add the bridge. Otherwise, it will fall forward just due to the nature of the pop-up. So I'm going to add double-sided tape to the left and right glue tab. This bridge is included in the main base die set. And you need to add a bridge connecting each of the 3 layers together to avoid them from flopping forward when the card is flat. All right, so I'm just going to add this bridge to the center of the sentiment on the back side, and then hold my card up and attach it to the back wall. Then I'll take another bridge, add double-sided tape and glue. You definitely want strong adhesive for these. And then you want to also make sure that your glue tabs are gluing downwards. You don't want to have one up and one down. You want them both facing down when you go to attach. So now on the second row for the fireplace, I'm going to attach one side of the tab behind the fireplace, and then the other tab I'm going to stretch across to the front row right on top of that acrylic stick. So that is going to hold up the second row. Now I'm going to grab my cat and dog. So you can see that he's kind of covering the fire, even more so when I give him the pillow to sit on, but I didn't really care. I really just love this image. So I went with a yellow lab and an orange cat. I had an orange cat growing up that absolutely loved Christmas. He was always under the Christmas tree. So I've just kind of naturally, for Christmas, have always chosen orange cats over my current Siamese or goose. So I am going to use a Copic to color the nose of the dog. There is a layering piece if you want to cut it from cardstock. And then I used a fine liner for the cat's and the dog's face. Sorry, my head gets in the way here. All right, so that little pillow they're sitting on is actually the cushion of the couch. That's also in the same set. So that cat and dog set has so many images to work with. It's one of my favorites from the whole release. All right, so now you can see how this folds up and then it folds down. And you can see I did not add the bridge behind the dog yet, and you saw how it kind of leaned forward there. That is why you need the bridges. So I have my last one. Adding the double-sided tape, going to glue this to the back side of the dog and stretch it across to the fireplace. So you can see by the time you add everything, there is so many layers of cardstock, so many bridges, that this becomes a pretty hefty piece that you can use as home decor. That is the intention behind this set. Obviously you can mail these cards because they do fold flat, but please do not send out one of these cards to someone who throws away cards, because these have to be displayed. And they are so heavy by the time you're done that I feel they're going to last for years. I have already displayed several of them around my house. I share that on Instagram. I share other content like short reels and close-ups of my card designs there. So I encourage you to follow me if you haven't yet. I will leave a link to all of my social media. And also, a lot of you watch my YouTube videos and are not subscribed. So definitely subscribe if you enjoy my videos. Okay, a last minute decision. I decided to add the 2 small trees from the front of the card. I brought them inside next to the fireplace. Why not add even more detail to this? That's completely unnecessary. And then I'm going to fill the top with the bow. So this bow is included in the Christmas Trifold. Like I said, you really don't need anything else to build a really beautiful Christmas house. And then instead of gluing the bow to the center, I'm going to glue a wreath and the bow. I just love how the colors are distributed very well on this card. There's like the perfect amount of green and red and gold. And that finishes off the card. Oh, I do have to go back to that one inside flap. So let me close this up and work on this part. I cut an oval from cream cardstock. I'm going to add that to the center, and that will give me an area to write a message. Then I'll add a simple wreath at the top with a dark red bow. So now I am finished with my card design. Again, thank you so much for watching this very long video. Let me know what you want to see in the lives, and congratulations to Llama for winning the $50 gift card. So I will see you in the next video. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your week, and goodbye.